Sometime before, I did a whole episode on how traditionally, travel is done in role-playing tabletop. And whilst that's all fine and well to do it like that, I wanted to give you an alternative that's even quicker and perhaps better for everybody that doesn't want to randomly roll for it and stuff like that. You want something either more easier, lighter, or something more tighter to the story, to the idea, to the concept. Or just less work. Less work is always good when work is to be completed one day. So to do it like this, just make a path, make nodes on it. These are your DM notes. You're not gonna reveal this specifically, but yes, you know what the route is. Generally, you know what the nodes are on it. And now when your party decides to travel, then just describe your path and your nodes. The path, you say what they pass, what kind of forests, what kind of sea, are there seagulls today, or are there dark clouds but not near, maybe suggesting a storm later down the line. Whether it's a sea travel or coach travel or whatever travel, all travel, even when nothing is happening, has incredibly lots of small, nice things happening, and you can describe them in short. And then after exact amount of time that you calculated from your path that you drew on your map to the node, you now have dispersed nodes on normally realistic segments. You know how much time it takes from the start to node 1 to node 2 and between and so on, because you charted it a little bit. It's as easy as writing a squiggly line on your map and then drawing circles at random on it, and then calculating how much travel time between each spot it takes. You don't have to be mathematically perfect or anything, just eyeball it. And then they run into the node, and the node can be anything really that just is even more hands-on interesting as opposed to hands-off passively interesting. Like if they camp on the remains of the old ruins. Should they go in? Should they not go in? You don't need to plan for it if they are just there. You can plan for it as they go along in it. It's not necessarily going to be big, or it's going to be too big to explore completely without reason or a quest, or so on and so forth. You can improvise. The idea is that you make as big or as small as you want preparation for each node, and when they run into it, they have all the decision to interact with it as much as they want or not at all, or if the node is like that, for it to sort of latch onto them so that they interact with it. For no reason other than some things are chasing your players as opposed to your players chasing the things. It's not like you need always to get them to bite, as people say on the internet. You don't need to always. It's better if you let them pick and choose. I feel it's more realistic, but more than realism, I feel it's more fun for everyone, me included, as a DM, because why would you even want all things to be linearly chosen to be explored equally? Now you might say, what about the preparation? Don't prepare stuff too much, just have stuff that's important and then improvise the rest. And the rest is what we're talking about here. And sometimes you might prepare a dungeon and it goes unused. So what? Oh well, you trained for other times, you had fun. Maybe you can reuse it in another campaign with some alterations. Maybe you won't. Maybe you just have a nice dungeon. Maybe you can give it to somebody. Maybe you can gift it to somebody. Maybe you can publish it somewhere. Maybe you won't. It depends on how much you liked it. If you like it so much, maybe you will actually figure out what to do with it one day. But you don't need to shove it into your players' faces until they themselves pick to investigate. So, back to the travel at hand. So you plan the nodes, and not every node is a huge thing or a dungeon or something like that. No, sometimes it's just running into a wounded animal. No strings attached. If somebody can heal it, all the better. If somebody wants to eat it, well, all the better for them and worse for the animal, but anyways, just let them do what they might. Great events are sometimes derived from just happenstance, so make sure that instance happens. and then just let them at it and see what they do, if anything. They could just stay in their coach. They might not disembark. They might urge the coachman to keep going. That's fine. That's completely fine. You can even make something out of it later if it fits and you want. So you have these nodes and you prepared the bare minimum if necessary for the nodes and more if you wanted, and then, well, every so and so of travel that you calculated how much it takes, they run into a node and so on, and then once travel is finished, it's finished. And before then, if some nodes are big enough to derail the whole thing, all the better. That shows the greatness of planning here, the realism and the right proper role-playing. So if a node makes everything go into all kinds of different quests, situations, all kinds of different story, they meet up with people that they will then share their fates for the rest of the campaign and go into a whole another kingdom, something like that. That's all fantastic. And imagine the stories you can tell with saying that that was a random event on the road and it escalated into a campaign. It's a lot like those old choose your own adventure books where you flip to a page and then it says, if you want to do this, flip to this page. If you want to do that, flip to that page. And it was like a novel, but you could roleplay it by flipping to certain pages depending on the response you gave. And it sort of gave completely sometimes different stories depending on the branch. And you can prepare a bit of those, or you can just wait for them to happen. But that's how you can do both travel and many other things. And don't forget to just have a list, like a checklist of what you want in your world during travel. So, just write the words like weather, travelers, dangers, and, make categories. You don't have to roll them. These are just reminders. It literally just says weather, travelers, etc. And then you look at it and you don't forget. And then you say, well, what about that magical weather phenomenon I was thinking about? That way you won't forget when you're preparing. You'll be able to implement what you thought of because you have the points of interest that you wrote down, and then you can cross-reference them for yourself whenever you want and use them whenever you want, and remember how to make new ones when the time arrives. You'll always be able to invent new stuff, to find new stuff, to comprehend how new stuff and old stuff interacts and how it forms the world building. Because you don't have to world build all at once at the beginning, you world build a lot like this too. And so things happen. So adventurer, if you thought this was unique, maybe you can spare me a click and I could see you here next, and even maybe perhaps every week. Because every week I have more unique stuff for you. I make it myself. I'm M, and welcome to the dMTable. See you next time.